You don't see this very often. Country of origin, United States. Must be special. Well, hello again, and welcome. We're actually just arriving in Apollo Beach, and we are at a 350 Sea Ray. It's got twin Verados, and just like the title says, we're going to have some fun with the helm, because it's got an alarm going off. I previously diagnosed this, and we're going to replace the helm, and I'll show you what I did, why I did it, and a few tricks that we have to do to replace it, because it's fully electric, and of course it's automated, so more computer fun today. So let me load up, and I'll see you at the boat. Alright, we are here on our little mini floating dock, and here is our pretty blue Sea Ray. It's a nice boat, plenty of power on her. It's a beautiful day too here. But it looks like this last time we have to push the boat forward, so I'm gonna have to lower it all the way down, push it forward, then catch it back on the lift so that we can jump on the back here, because it's a little bit too far. So let me get all that done and I'll join you aboard here. Alright, we are up on the lift enough where I can jump back and forth right here. We're down in the water so we can run them here later, make sure everything's working. We got all of our tools, computer. I've actually got everything turned on here. There's our new helm. Got the codes on the computer and on the screen here. So our keys are on. We've scanned the engines. We're down to the page where we can see all the information between all the modules. This is the CCM, which is the controller here in the dash. You also have TVMs, which is on the back for our steering. This is actually the TVMs is what I was showing you, funny enough, on the boat that's next door to us here, and how to diagnose if you have a bad steering actuator or something. But because we have Helm CCMs, which is another computer up here, controls our joystick and everything up here, we have codes for that. And let's click on this. It's going to show us the same thing on the dash here. So steering wheel primary message state of health. So let's see details. It's basically saying one of the sensors inside of it is bad, has failed. Let's look real quick. Well, I'll look at the helm behind us here. We have, it's all electric, so basically it's just feeding a signal to these, and you have CAN H and CAN P here, which is a public and private network. That's all it is. So if you have, the reason why I was pointing towards this, you can also test this stuff, make sure it has power, everything. It's actually still working, but the reason it points towards this is because we have faults on both of our CCMs. So if we had just faults on one CCM, then it's very possible you could have a bad CCM. But because it's sharing it on both of these, and both are the same fault, same thing, we pretty much know that we have a problem with the helm. It could be something crazy going on too, because I've seen a shorted wire make all this stuff go off. But what we're going to do first is I'm going to try to get the two connectors out of the top here, so we can just plug in and make sure that this code goes away. Another thing that you got to look for in these, vessel personality builder, right? So all these boats have a personality in them, and it's set for your joystick. So if you have a joystick, it knows that it's in a 350 Sea Ray, so it's going to act the way it's supposed to inside of it, or in the boat, basically all the components. It knows it has Verados, what horsepower it is, everything. So this thing will work the best it can for your joystick, spot hook, all that stuff, or sky hook. So the first thing I'm going to do is save this, and then I'm going to connect the two wires, hopefully from the dash, to our new helm, and see if this code goes away. So let me do that, and we'll jump right back to it. Okay, we are at the point now where I can assign the ID to that helm, like I was saying before, where if it lost its personality, everything is still there because we have city IDs on both of these. But we are plugged into our new helm, this little blanket there, and we don't have that code anymore. All we have is configuration codes, which is normal because you have to configure that helm basically with our levers here and our joystick. So let me do this, and then we'll make sure these codes go away, and then we can install it. Alright, we have all of our configuration done. Personality is in it. We have our lever adapt done. Our steering wheel calibration is done, which I'm going to do this. You can actually align it and do steering wheel centering, which I'm going to do after we replace it. But for now, I have not started this or anything, and we want to make sure our joystick, because of our personality, is working and everything is functioning properly. So let's do that right now. Alright, let's turn to our Mercury page and wait for that to boot up before we fire it up. Alright, we should be able to spin this by hand real quick. There they go, they're moving. try our joystick. Looks like she's working good. Let's push our sky hook button here. She's blue. Sky hook. So that's working too. Alright, let's shut them down. We'll test all that one more time here after our helm was replaced. Well, so far so good. Now let's take some things apart. Alright, first thing we want to do is get the centerpiece out here. Gently take his little screwdriver and just kind of fits in there. You don't want to hurt anything. There we go. There's the centerpiece. The nut, washer. So now we have the nut and washer off of here, and it's kind of pressed on. It's got a tapered shaft that holds this on here. So I'm going to show you a trick real quick on how to get this wheel off. You get 2 hammers, ball peen, and whatever heavy hammer you can find. Put your nut back on. VHF's on in there. Ball peen hammer. We got levers to pull up on the wheel, and you're going to strike it. And make sure you're centered. You might have to do it a few times to get it to pop. Sometimes they're really stuck on there, so this one might be one of those. There it goes. Now she's off. Sometimes you really gotta whack it. The BFE comes in handy. We're gonna pull our wheel off. Yeah, don't lose your cotter pin. Now we just have 3 screws to get this cover plate off. Now we've got our screws out. We should be able to pull this off. This is actually just a rubber piece that comes off. Kind of holds everything together when it moves, because this is just a swivel piece. This actually has nothing to do with the helm. It's an adapter basically. Now here, let me zoom in. Just got these 2 screws right here. You can pull this outer plate off, because then we should be able to take our Allens off, and then there's 3 screws that hold that electric helmet. Alright, those are loose. This just pops off. Now we just have these 4 Allens to take out, because behind it is an adapter plate basically to adapt this helm to our Mercury wheel here. So let's get this out of the way. Okay, we got our 4 screws out right here. If you look, let me zoom in. In the helm there's 2 more locking screws. Put the steering wheel back on so you can turn this. Let me show you what I'm talking about. There we go. Right there. So I'm gonna have to spin this, tilt the helm up, and get from underneath it in order to get those loosened up so we can pull this off, because they're basically clamping this right here. That's the last piece to our puzzle here to get this shaft off. Alright, so I got this off here. It almost just fell off. I would have showed you how to just pull it off, but it almost fell off as soon as I loosened these right here. So these guys here just squeeze onto that shaft. It's like a double safety feature, because this is our little U-joint here that allows the helm to tilt. Pretty simple. But now we got big Allens here that are holding this thing in from the back side here. Let me show you underneath. So we are already disconnected from our power. You can see the orange labeled wire there is disconnected. That's one of them. But we don't touch those bolts, because those are basically the adapter plate for it. But it's got threaded inserts on our helmet itself. So this thing is basically going to want to fall. So I'm going to have to reach my hand underneath here and kind of pull it out once I get all 3 of those Allens undone. There she is. Alright, so now I'm just going to reverse that process, get it all back together, and I'm just going to set the steering wheel center, which is through the computer, and I'll cut back to running all again here, and everything's good. Well, that was close. That thing just lifted as soon as I grabbed the camera off of it. I flung the camera. Anyway, we have all clear. There's no faults anymore in any of our modules. And joystick piloting active. Everything is clear here. Good to go. Let's make sure our shifter's working. System okay. Shut them down. Well, good. Everything turned out good. Everything's working. We got no more codes in the helm. The only thing that faulted me was trying to get the wheel off, but if you know that trick, it's pretty easy to get off. The only other thing you could do is heat it up and try to get it off, but it's you can ruin things doing that, and hopefully you can get off that way. You might have to buy a new steering wheel or some tilt helm components if you really mess that up, but I've seen it happen. But this boat being only a couple years old, didn't happen this time. So let me know what you think in the comments about having to plug into a boat and basically install a personality and configure all your helm, your basically your binnacle, and make sure everything is up to date and talking to each other, because you got private and public network here to deal with on the CAN H and CAN P. So it's getting complicated, kind of just like the last video I showed you with that boat with all the C-Zone stuff. This also has C-Zone, but they call it Naviop, which is just another computer system that runs the Sea Ray side of things. So anyway, as always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you next time. Later. Bye-bye, Sea Ray. That was actually the whaler from the video I was talking about earlier. Another nice boat.